Hi, and welcome to That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What happened to the Flannan Isles Lightkeepers? Who was responsible for the Gardner Museum heist? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the Denisovan Bracelet. The Denisovan Bracelet was found in the Denisova Cave in the Altai region of Siberia in 2008. It is said to be the oldest stone bracelet in the world. Dr. Anatoly Deverenko used to be the director of the Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography in Novosibirsk, which is part of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences. He said of the bracelet is stunning. In bright sunlight, it reflects the sun's rays. At night by fire, it casts a deep shade of green. The Denisovan bracelet was found in the Denisova cave in the same layer of soil as the remains of some of the Denisovan people. The Denisovans, also known as Homo altaiensis, were an early species of humans today extinct. They were closely related to modern-day humans, or Homo sapiens. They were also closely related to Neanderthals, or Homo neanderthals. It's believed the Denisovans may have interbred with modern humans and Neanderthals. Radiocarbon dating only works as far back as 60,000 years, so scientists have used DNA testing to compare Neanderthals and humans against Denisovans. They do share some DNA. In fact, the genes from Denisovans can be found in some humans today. Tibetans have some Denisovan DNA which allows them to withstand low oxygen environments. Aboriginal Australians also have about 4% of the Denisova DNA. Scientists are still trying to figure out why. It's unknown who the first people to populate Australia were. Between 300,000 and 400,000 years ago, Homo heidelbergensis left Africa for Eurasia and eventually split into two groups. The group that went to Europe became Neanderthals, and the group that went to Asia became Denisovans. Modern-day human ancestors remained in Africa and became Homo sapiens. Scientists believe that the Denisovans likely met modern-day humans in Eurasia between 40,000 and 60,000 years ago and began interbreeding. The remains of the Denisovans were first found in 2010 in the Denisova cave after the bracelet had been discovered. It's believed that the Denisovans lived everywhere from Siberia to Southeast Asia. They were named after the cave where their remains were found. The Denisova Cave is near the Anui River, about 150 kilometers or 93 miles south of Barnaul. Today, the cave is a popular tourist attraction. Scientists have also uncovered various other archaeological finds in the Denisova Cave, some dating as far back as 125,000 years. The first archaeological finds came in the 1980s. In the year 2000, the tooth of an adult was found in the cave. In 2008, the bracelet was found along with the finger of a child Denisovan, who scientists named X-Woman. At the same time, archaeologists found a ring carved out of marble, beads made from ostrich eggshells, and the world's oldest needle. Inside the cave, archaeologists found the remains of animals, including some that have become extinct. There were 66 types of mammals and 50 bird species found inside. In 2019, archaeologists made a huge discovery in the cave. They found a 45,000-year-old cave lion statue made from a woolly mammoth tusk. The statue was very detailed, including lines made to look like fur. It is the oldest animal effigy ever found. The lion is 42 millimeters, or a little over an inch and a half long, 8 millimeters, or about 1/3 inches thick, and 11 millimeters, or just under 1/2 inch high. Scientists suspect that the animal lived in the area at the time of the carving. Denisovans were not the only people to occupy the Denisova cave, although they were probably the first people there as well as the last. Throughout the years, Neanderthals were there as well. Both groups used the cave intermittently between 200,000 and 50,000 years ago. Around 120,000 years ago, the groups probably used the cave together. Radiocarbon dating of the items found in the cave date the items found to between 43,000 and 49,000 years old. However, most of the remains in the cave date to between 52,000 and 76,000 years old. How is that possible? The bracelet is made of chlorite, which cannot be found in the vicinity of the cave. The nearest deposit is at least 200 kilometers or 124 miles away. This leads scientists to believe that chlorite was very valuable at the time. The bracelet is in 2 pieces, but put together it measures 2.7 centimeters or just over 1 inch wide, 0.9 centimeters or about 1/3 inches thick, and the diameter is estimated as 7 centimeters or 2 3/4 inches. There is a hole drilled in the bracelet near one of the cracks. The hole is about 0.8 centimeters or 1/3 inches in diameter. The speed of the drill used to make this hole is estimated to be quite high with minimal fluctuations. The bracelet had been drilled with an implement, bored, ground, and polished with leather skins that had been at varying degrees of tanning. The techniques used were more common during the Neolithic era, which occurred around 10,000 years ago. It wasn't believed that people during the Paleolithic era, which ranged from about 2.6 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago, would have been able to use such techniques. But the Denisovans seemed to be skilled at these techniques. In fact, it is unknown how the Denisovans would have had these skills. It was originally believed that the bracelet dated back to 40,000 years ago, but it could be as old as 70,000 years, making it the oldest known jewelry of its kind made of stone. The Russians did a detailed analysis and believe the bracelet has been correctly aged. It was made of a polished green stone. Scientists believe that it was made for an important woman or child and that it was only worn on special occasions. Dr. Derivanko described a polished area on the bracelet and said that it looked like the area had been in contact with a soft organic material. He continued that scientists believe that there was a leather strap with a charm hanging from that area. The charm would have had to have been quite heavy to create the polished look. Because of the location of the polished area, scientists were able to determine the bracelet was worn on the right wrist. Derivanko said the bracelet had had scratches and bumps on it, but that some of those had been sanded down. Scientists believe the Denisovans were more advanced than both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. The technique used on the bracelet seemed to confirm this belief. However, at first scientists were unsure of who exactly made the bracelet. Irina Solnikova, head of the Museum of History and Culture of the Peoples of Siberia in the Far East in Novosibirsk, said of the bracelet, "I love this find. The skills of its creator were perfect. Initially we thought that it was made by Neanderthals or modern humans, but it turned out that the master was Denisovan, at least in our opinion." Some people also believe that the bracelet isn't as old as suspected and was in fact planted in the cave. Scientists say this is not so and used an isotope analysis on the soil surrounding the bracelet to prove it. At one time it was believed that only Homo sapiens cared enough to make jewelry and wear jewelry, but finding the Denisovan bracelet proved that was not the case. The Denisovans did as well. More recently, scientists have come to believe that Neanderthals may have also made and worn jewelry. Did the Denisovans actually make the bracelet discovered in the Denisova cave? How were they able to use techniques not believed to be employed until a much later time period? If it was truly made sometime between 43,000 and 49,000 years ago, how did it make its way to a cave where remains were much older than that? What do you think? If you're listening on Spotify, scroll down and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ready Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.